This training session will be approximately 20 to 30 minutes, and then we open up to Q&A, and I'm available for as long as you guys need me to be. So XP3 here, if you could just confirm that you can see my screen, that'd be great as well. It has the XP3 logo, dealer training on the top. If you can type in the chat box if you're seeing this screen right now. Yeah, we're good. Okay, excellent. Okay, so let's start off right from the top. What is XP3? XP3 is an industrial strength commercial grade fuel enhancer, and it only contains functional and purely concentrated compounds. Now the main difference between retail consumer grade additives is that when you or your customers talk about additives in general, they usually are referring to retail grade or consumer grade additives. And the difference there is that these additives that you find over the counter contain diluting fillers, they contain non-functional ingredients, and for the sole purpose of making that bottle look bigger, and because it's meant for the retail consumer grade market. So another way of explaining it is pure professional grade for the XP3 versus diluted consumer grade for all of the other additives that your customers might have been exposed to in the past. So another easier way to explain XP3, it's a fuel optimizer, a detergent cleaner, and fuel stabilizer. Those three things basically encompass the high level of what the XP3 product does. So XP3 replaces all other additives, conditioners, stabilizers, lubricators, treatments, anti-gels, detergent cleaners, keeps your fuel pure, clean, and stabilized for up to 5 years. And it also protects new generation emission controlled engines and resolves problems caused by ethanol and bio-based fuels, which will go a little bit deeper here into the training session. So this chart here shows what happens when you take light crude oil and you process it. 20 to 30% is used for gasoline, and 35 to 55% is used for heavy oil, which is diesel and home heating oil. The stuff in the middle that still kind of burns, but cannot be sold on the market as gasoline or diesel, is the main compounds and ingredients that retail grade additives use to fill as filler. Again, it will still burn somewhat, but it cannot be sold on the market as gas or diesel, and it's low cost, it's cheap. The problem with retail grade additives doing that are multiple, but the two main issues are, number one, your customer is buying something that should not be put in a tank. A petroleum distillate should not be added as an additive because it's got no function other than making that retail bottle look bigger. The second problem is it adds cost to the final product. So if you can imagine retail grade additive companies, when they're manufacturing their product, they have to purchase this distillate fuel. They have to purchase larger bottles. That equates to more weight, more space, so the pallets are heavier, and then moving from the blending plant to the distribution center, from then to the local regional center, to the wholesale distributor, to the regional distributor, to the end user, all of that extra weight increases the final cost of that product for the retail consumer. So what do the 3 Ps stand for? Power, extra power. Improved combustion, more torque and horsepower, increased energy BTU value output of the fuel, and less unburnt hydrocarbons, which means less emissions or less pollution. P for performance, extra performance. You get a quieter and smoother running engine. You get extended oil life. You get less regen cycles, less DEF consumption. Your DPF filter will last longer, about 25% longer life. And all of that translates to better fuel economy. And the third P is protection, extra protection. By purifying and stabilizing your fuel, it reduces maintenance costs. It eliminates the risk of microbial infestation. It has an antioxidant protection factor in there as well. And it eliminates phase separation and fouling of the fuels for stabilizing for long-term storage, and resolves all water and moisture-related problems. So it gives you that extra protection in your engine. A little bit of background information on the manufacturer. XP Lab is based out of Poway, California. Some people say Poway, California, just north of San Diego. They've been in business since 1989, and their original problems that they were trying to solve were ocean freighters and commercial fleets, mainly problems related to incomplete combustion of fuels and water and moisture problems in ocean freighters. They had so much success that as of right now, I believe that they distribute their industrial grade solutions in almost 30 markets all over the world. And bulk storage, bulk transport, that is the largest customer base that you can help. So any of your members or customers that have on-site bulk tanks or slip tanks for storage or transportation of fuels, and those are the ones that are the easiest to have an informed conversation with about additives in general, and then showing them the difference between what retail grade additives do versus industrial strength commercial grade additives. So just a quick recap on the top two main functions. It's a combustion improver. It increases torque and horsepower. It enhances the fuel atomization. It boosts fuel economy by burning more of the fuel as energy and less of it as waste, so it reduces pollution. And it also, of course, makes that easier on your DPF and DEF systems on the new generation equipped engines. And it's a fuel purifier. The main problem, especially with diesel, is water and moisture. Also, it has a detergent value, like we mentioned before. By keeping your injectors clean and keeping the deposits out of the engine, you get a better performance. It's a stabilizer. It also can restore fouled fuel. We could talk a little bit more about that down the presentation. And it prevents oxidation, and it's an effective biocide against microbacterial infestations. This chart here is just to give you comfort that the companies that have implemented XP3 as best practice in their operations are global 500, global 1,000 companies. You might recognize some of those logos. The logos on this chart does not necessarily mean that it's the Canadian operations or arms of these companies that are currently using XP3. XP3 has only been in Canada for the last 5 years with a strong focus in Western Canada. So basically in Eastern Canada, the marketplace is wide open. I think it's a great opportunity for Fleet Brake Atlantic region to have access to this product and bring it to the market, because there is no competition, and it's a fairly new product. So XP3 treats over 4 billion liters of fuel every year globally in almost 30 different countries. This is just a quick snapshot to help you visually see the different markets that we serve. The ones that we've had the most success with in Western Canada is heavy equipment, heavy construction, over-the-road transportation, as well as motorsport enthusiasts or power sports. People with classic cars, people with motorcycles, ATVs, snowmobiles, boats. They just love the gas version of this product. So there's a big opportunity there for the recreational and power sport users. And typically what we find is the people that can afford these power sport toys are usually owners of companies that run large equipment. One other segment that has been very popular is the agricultural side of it. So farmers, and ag operations, although they do not burn that much fuel, they love the benefits that the XP3 product brings them in their operations. Of course, XP Lab has a fuel additive guarantee in writing, and since inception, since 1989, there has never been even one attempted claim of damage of any kind from anyone. So you will have customers say, well, is it safe for Tier 4 for Tier 4 engines and my diesel particulate filters. Is it manufactured? Does it void my warranty? It does not. It's 100% manufacturer warranty safe, and we have that in writing from XP Lab, the manufacturer. Just in the middle here, I just want to touch base. If you want to give me a chat in the chat window that everything is good, we could take a quick pause if there is any easy or quick questions that you might want to list here in the chat window. So if nobody has a question, just type "we're all good" or "all okay for now," and then we can continue. Okay. I will hold for 1 minute, and just text me once you're good to go again. Sounds good. I'll wait for your go on the chat window. Okay, awesome. We're back online here. So we're about halfway through the presentation, a little bit more than halfway, and then we'll open up for a Q&A. Darin, if you want to type in the chat box the best phone number to call if it's your cell phone or if you have a speakerphone in the area there, just let me know and then I'll dial in that number after. So we left off with a fuel additive guarantee. And then the main reason, if you want to have an explanation with your customer, is the reason why an additive company may dispute a warranty claim is that if the ASTM specification of the fuel is lower or does not meet, then the engine manufacturer has a probable case to attempt to deny warranty. It's important to also know that in the last 5 years of me doing this, I've never come across not one, instant or situation where a customer's engine problem was denied warranty based on fuel. It does not exist. It does not happen. If you know of that, I would really like to have the details, but from what I understand, the onus of proof on an engine manufacturer to take a sample of the fuel, to send it to the lab, to show that it's out of spec, and to prove that the out of spec is what caused the problem, it just never happens. So just something for you to know and keep that comfort level with your customers that it's not an issue for warranty. The other thing as well, XP3 does not contain any alcohols, petroleum distillate, fillers, or any other non-functional diluting compounds, again, that you find in traditional retail consumer grade additives. So let's talk about the 3 different diesel products that we have and the 1 gasoline product. So the XP3 all-in-one all-season is the multifunctional bestseller, most popular product that we sell. It will give your users 10 degrees of extra protection against gelling in the winter, and in most situations that is sufficient. The next specialty blend that we have is our Cetane Boost product. This product is currently being considered to be phased out for 2 reasons. Number 1, the main functions of the Cetane Boost product is identical to the all-in-one all-season. The only difference is there's a cetane booster added to it. So what we're looking at doing to replace that is to have a pure cetane concentrate so that a customer at their discretion can just add cetane for whatever application they want. It also helps remove the number of part numbers that you have to carry, and it also eliminates confusion to the customers onto which product should they choose for their application. So there should be more details coming up about the cetane boosted version of our product in the next couple of months. So this will leave you with only 2 products: the all-in-one all-season, which is good for up to 10 degrees of extra protection, and then the extreme winter version of the all-in-one product. Again, it's the same functional base product, but it has an increased anti-gel product in it that allows up to 25 to 35 degrees of extra protection. It basically converts summer diesel into winter diesel. But if you're already starting with winter diesel, it converts that winter diesel to Arctic grade polar diesel. And our gasoline product, again, all-in-one, all-season, that is another indicator of additive companies that created a fuel additive and they claim that it's good for gas and diesel. That just doesn't make sense. A diesel is a compression ignition fuel. Diesel engines require the added lubricity. Gasoline engines are spark ignition. They don't require lubricity. 2 totally different requirements. So if an additive claims to be good for gasoline and diesel, that's a flag right there that it's probably full of just the petroleum distillate there that we saw on the chart. Pricing. Everybody wants to talk about pricing. When your customer comes in and you have a conversation about additives and XP3 and the topic of pricing comes up, the question is, how much does XP3 cost? Always answer that question with another question. How many liters are you treating, Mr. Customer? Is this for your diesel truck, 100 liters at a time? Is it your bulk tank for 20,000 liters? And whatever the answer is, you can say it's about 3 cents per liter to treat or less if you're buying bulk. That puts that number in a very understandable format where if for every 100 liters that you want to treat, Mr. Customer, you're at about $3 of treatment. You can show them these slides or you can do a comparison. But again, you're not comparing apples to apples. You're comparing a industrial grade product versus a retail grade product. On the small bottles, when we did the comparison with what you can buy off the shelf at Canadian Tire or other locations, our retail grade product or retail size product, the diesel, the D720 is 3.3 cents per liter to treat, and all of the other diesel products in small bottles were more expensive. So that can give you a good assurance that when what you're selling is not only best in class, but is sometimes priced at or near the same price as other additives or less. Our gasoline product, Seafoam, seems to be the most popular gasoline additive that we come across. A Seafoam is at 13.1 cents per liter to treat. Our XP3 gas product is at 4.2 cents per liter to treat. When the topic comes on saving fuel economy, there's a lot of additive companies out there that all claim to do a lot of things, but the main one seems to be that it helps improve your fuel economy. The only place that you can have undisputed evidence of an additive's ability to improve fuel economy is on a dyno test. The additive can either produce more torque out of an engine or not. And the added extra torque that shows up on a dyno is evidence of an additive's ability to be able to provide better fuel economy. And that helps also stop the conversation of people wanting to do their own testing and stuff like that. It's a very complicated process, and I've done it in the early days where we take a fleet of trucks, they take 10 trucks, they do a baseline, they do 10 tanks after that with the XP3 regular, 10 tanks with the XP3 cetane diesel version, and then we do an average. We eliminate the best tank and the worst tank, so we have the average of the 8, which is a statistically valid or correct. And oftentimes we did come out with a positive outcome. However, in all fairness to the clients, I tell them that it's really not a clear indicator of exactly what it'll bring you, because there's weight, there's user driver, there's speed, there's wind, there's a whole bunch of variables that can influence the test when you're doing it. And that's why we've gone back to the basics. If they want to do a dyno test on their own equipment, we would provide them with the necessary product to do that. And then they'd be able to see the measurement. So here on this chart, the XP3 regular all-in-one, the diesel, this was on a Duramax 6.6 liter engine, added 11 foot-pounds of torque, and our cetane boosted product added 36 foot-pounds of torque. Now, I tell clients, don't get too excited when you see this 36 foot-pounds of torque. The added cetane helps equipment that are running at heavy load, high torque capacity. And a dyno is an extreme example of that. It's at 100% load capacity, and you will never run equipment at 100% load capacity. So on the topic of cetane, there's two situations where we would suggest or recommend cetane to be added to a fuel. One of them is under heavy load, and the other one is in winter fuel. And I'll cover the reason for that in a second here. So how can you help educate your customers? It's simple. You inform them that there's a difference between industrial strength commercial grade additives and retail consumer grade products. So let's just say you're sitting at your parts counter and a customer puts a bottle or a case of House or some other retail grade additive. The only thing you need to tell them is, Mr. Customer, do you realize that that is a retail grade additive, not an industrial strength product? And then they'll say, well, what do you mean? And then you can start having that intelligent conversation about additives and the differences and how to tell the differences. So the first way that you can tell if a product is retail grade or industrial grade is its dosage mix ratio. Anything that is 500 parts to 1, sometimes you'll find 250 parts to 1, guaranteed that there is filler in it. To go a little bit more deeper on that, if you pull the MSD sheet on a competitor's product, it will show you the percentage of petroleum distillate or filler that is in their product. And then the third way of doing it is side-by-side testing, and we'll go over that. This is just a quick snapshot here. I know that Chucky had told me that you guys sell a lot of House, so I'll just refer to the House. If you look at their MSD sheet, 40 to 70% is a petroleum distillate, hydro-treated middle. Then 10 to 30% is a petroleum distillate, hydro-treated light. So the majority, again, of what's in there is a petroleum distillate filler that has no function other than making that bottle look large. And you'll find that with Power Service, Statidine, all of the other retail grade additives that you or your customers might be familiar with. Okay, I believe that Chucky has done these tests for you, so I'll quickly go through them. If you want to provide evidence, yes, okay, perfect. If you want to really show a customer what the product is instead of telling them, that is way more impactful. The first test is the carbon detergency test. You'll see that it's the bottom of a pop can. There's carbon-based ink. If an additive has high detergent value, it will be able to break down that carbon-based ink. If it does not, the ink will stay there. You will find that a lot of retail additives have that function, as they should. So when you do the first test, if you do a comparison and the product does remove the carbon, you can say, so far, Mr. Customer, your product is doing what it's supposed to do. The second test is the combustion efficiency test. You take the product with a torch. I always recommend using a little torch, not a lighter or a match. And if the product burns clean and stable with no smoke, it shows a high combustion efficiency. If it burns dirty, unstable, with particulate matter or smoke, it shows a low combustion value. The third test is, what does it leave behind after it's burnt? The XP3 diesel will leave a clean, golden, yellow lubricant, which is the right amount of lubricator that you need to add for the injectors and the injector pump. And a lot of the retail grade additives that have filler will leave behind sludgy or dirty residue. And this is very impactful. If you really want to blow away a customer, do this test with House or whatever your main product is, and all bets are off. They'll never go back to a consumer grade product again. And the fourth test, which is probably the most important one, is how does the additive behave with water and moisture? Again, water is the enemy of combustion. A drop of water in its natural state will go 1,000 times its size in the combustion chamber. So if you have a high parts per million of water that's not dispersed, or even freestanding water in a diesel engine, that particle, if it ends up going through the injector, can crack an injector tip, or even worse, can cause massive mechanical failure. So water, again, being able to manage and control the water out of that fuel is very critical. Now, what XP3 does is it takes that water molecule, or those water molecules, and breaks them down into thousands of submicroscopic particles, so that when it gets burnt through, it gets moved and eradicated out of your fuel system. And one 1,000th micro particle, it's about 5 microns, times 1,000 is so small that it doesn't have any impact at all in the combustion or in the engine. The fifth test is only recommended with having the proper personal protection gear. You need to have glass test tubes, diesel and sulfuric acid. And what you see there is on the left side, By adding 3 drops of sulfuric acid into a test tube of diesel, you will simulate the breaking down or the phase separation of fuel. By adding the XP3, XP3 will attack that and restore the molecules back to its original state. The ability for an additive to do that shows its tendency to be able to keep fuel stabilized and protected against phase separation and breaking down. Very, very powerful test. If you don't want to do the test with these dangerous compounds, you can just go to restore.xp3.ca, and that will bring up the video that shows this test. Okay, so just to recap, by helping your customers understand the difference between industrial strength, commercial grade versus retail consumer grade diluted products, you are positioning yourself as a valuable and knowledgeable resource in helping them find the best solution for their most problematic fuel related problems. This is just a quick recap of the functions. I won't read them all because we've also already covered them. But the detergency value, the stabilizer factor, the combustion improver, lubricity, anti-gel, water dispersants, and of course it's safe and environment friendly because it does not contain any harmful compounds or fillers. A lot of bigger companies like the fact that it has a clean MSD sheet because they have to deal with a whole bunch of chemicals, and if the additive that they're using is safe, that goes a long way on the safety side. So the bottom line here to finish off, an informed buyer of fuel and fuel additives will always choose a multifunctional industrial strength fuel enhancer over a diluted consumer grade retail product. The key word there in this statement is informed. Your customer doesn't know what he doesn't know, and it's your job to speak to them as an expert in knowing about different things in your industry, in this case about retail grade additives versus industrial strength additives, and you're doing your customer a good service, and you're improving, again, the reputation and reliability that you and your team provides to your customers in your market. This slide here just shows quick resources that you can have access to. YT for YouTube, it launches a YouTube video, our Facebook page, SlideShare that has presentations, and then training.xp3.ca, which is an older version of what you see here, so you probably don't need to access that. One of the strategies you can do for your customers is, I understand your world, you're at the parts counter and there's a lot of people, you don't have much time. You just say to the customer, do you have a smartphone? Everybody today pretty much has a smartphone. Go to yt.xp3.ca. That'll launch some videos. Take a look at the videos, and once you're done, let me know. And then let the video do all of the educating or all of the details while you're serving other customers. And then once your prospect has gone through looking at some of the videos that we have on that playlist, they'll usually come by and just buy the product, or they might have a quick question, and then you're good to go. And that saves you from having to go into deep details. If Pat or Jordan, if you guys are guys and gals are doing outside sales, you do have more time to be able to have those conversations. But if you're on the parts counter, I understand that world. It's a pretty tough world. So I will dial in here, and then we could do a Q&A. Hey, Darin. So was the webinar valuable so far for what we went through?
Yeah, I think so. I think everybody took away from it.
Okay, very good. I've got additional bonus slides, but if you want, we could just do a quick Q&A there if anybody from your team has any questions.
You were talking about the standard stuff you sell, and you said it does good to 10 degrees cooler.
Yeah, so the regular XP3 all-in-one provides 10 degrees of extra protection for winter anti-gel.
That's probably Fahrenheit, I'm assuming, is it?
Celsius, 10 degrees Celsius.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. And then in comparison, the extreme winter version gives 25 to 35 degrees of extra protection, depending on what you're starting with the fuel. If it's summer fuel, it'll add more. If it's winter fuel, it'll add a little bit less.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Now, the real customers for this extreme winter are people that want, over the top protection, mission critical, fire engines, ambulance, people working with their trucks on winter roads or in the bush. They want like over the top protection. Standby diesel generators are also a target for the extreme winter. And then the other clients are the truckers going down south and picking up loads in Florida, Texas, or California coming back up. They will need that extra extreme winter when they fill up with their U.S. fuel coming up north here.
Okay. Yeah. Nova Scotia's a warm climate. Darin says Nova Scotia's a warm climate. We don't need to worry about it.
I heard you guys have some of the best snowmobile trails in the world, though.
No, not us.
No? You guys are too close to the Gulf Stream or the warm ocean air, or what?
Probably about 30 degrees outside right now.
Wow.
No, I think I just look at it. It says it feels like -2. It's a little cold, actually.
It must be the humidity that's doing that. It's fooling you guys.
Anybody else got any questions? Ask Darin. I asked the temperature. The Celsius. And I think we have to sell it by the liter, but it costs per liter.
Yeah, so when the customer asks how much does XP3 cost, you always answer that question with how many liters are you looking to treat? If you're looking at treating about 100 liters, it'll be about $3. So it's 3 cents per liter to treat. Always bring that conversation down to cost per liter to treat. And the reason is customers have been used to buying, oh, look at this big jug. It's $23. It makes me feel so good that I'm getting a big part. They don't understand yet at that point in conversation the difference between a retail consumer grade product and industrial strength product. They don't know that there's fillers in the retail products, that their only purpose is to make that bottle look big and kind of fool the customer. So on the early stages, always go back to 3 cents per liter to treat or less, depending if you're buying bulk.
That makes sense. You guys are having a hard time with it. I already sold a couple of them.
Do you guys have a contest on the top sales rep be able to move new product lines, or?
That's what we're doing here. I'm up 2-0. Everybody else is 0. I'm just killing it.
So this is which Jordan is this?
Eckham.
Jordan, okay, Eckham. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna put you as a board leader right now. Okay. Let's talk about part numbers very quickly. I made it so very simple so that the first letter refers to if it's diesel cetane, or diesel winter, or gasoline. And then the number behind the letter simply relates to how many liters that container treats. So the D4000 part number is the diesel bottle that treats 4,000 liters. And then I'll just quickly go through these other slides. Motorsports, I mean, I know that you guys might not touch motorsports directly, but that's a big industry that people that run these motorcycles, snowmobiles, and they want the best of the best. XP3 gas is a seafoam killer. If you can use those words and say that it's 10 times better than seafoam for 3 times cheaper, just that alone will convert a lot of these motorsport enthusiasts from their seafoam product to the XP3 product. So I'm quickly just going to go through the slides here. If we see anything that we can cover, we got testimonials. Pemex, which is the Mexican state-owned petroleum company in Mexico, is the company that owns the rights to XP3. So again, this goes to show that this is a huge product in other parts of the world. The Ghana Oil Company, 150 of their gas stations in Ghana, Africa. If you pull up to the pump as a consumer, and the fuel is pre-treated at the pump with XP3. But that product's been in Ghana for about 15, 20 years already. Repsol in the South Pole in Argentina, their premium Arctic grade fuel is treated with the XP3 Extreme Winter. So very harsh conditions. Do you guys have cat rental stores in your region?
Just up the street.
So if they're not really considered competitors of you, are they? So if somebody has a relationship with them, you could use this testimonial. The cat rental store in Winnipeg, they every winter they would have problems with fuel related issues with gelling. Last year, the winter of 2017, 2018, they treated XP3 on all of their gas, all of their diesel, and all of their home heating oil products with their heaters, and had 0 incidents. And I do have a video of that testimonial as well.
I wonder what they're using here.
You know what? You'll be surprised that some companies don't use anything. So this is just a quick overview. Again, a lot of these things are just repeating what we talked about, showing a couple of testimonials as well. So I can make this slide deck available for you guys if you want to go into a little bit more of these expanded knowledge. And if anything comes up, you know, I'm always available. If you have a customer that's stumping you with tricky questions, just tell them, well, hold on a second. I'll get the XP3 expert on the line. Dial me up. Let me know who you are, which store you're from, and who you're speaking with. And then put me on speakerphone, and then let the customer ask me those tough questions. And that way you don't find yourself in a situation where you say, I don't know. If the call comes in and I can take the call, I definitely will. If it goes to voicemail, then I'll return it when I can, or it shows to your customer that, you know, you have the ability to reach out and talk to somebody that is an expert in this field.
Okay. As far as like the slideshow goes, or any videos like you got like that, we get a TV behind us, so I mean, some of that.
Yeah, so the best thing to do is your TV connected to the internet or to a YouTube player or anything? So then just go to YT for YouTube.xp3.ca, and that'll trigger about 15 video playlists in a row.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Well, Pat, Jordan, and Darin, thank you for your time this Friday afternoon. And is there anything else you guys want to talk about before we conclude this call?
I think we're good. Yeah, it's all right, buddy.
Okay, awesome. Well, have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Okay, take care. Bye.